نصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alhamdulillah. So at least we've learned one lesson. That's great. I will now go back to Bradford very pleased and very happy. That's something I've said has actually got through. That's good to hear. It put me off now, you see, because I wasn't expecting that kind of response. So you sort of like unnerved me, unbalanced me. So let me compose myself. Ask the person on dialysis of whether they long to go to visit the house of Allah, the Kaaba of Allah. Ask the blind person of whether he wants to recite the book of Allah one more time. Ask the person who is now wheelchair bound of how he wants to stand in the worship of Allah. And ask the person who is bedridden of whether he wants to make one more sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we don't think of these things because for the great majority of us, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with all those things. But unfortunately, we don't value the thing when we have it. We only value it when it's gone. That's why we have a desire for those things we don't have. So we have a beautiful wife at home, but instead we will look at another woman. Yet what she has, our wife has. But we have our wife, so we have no interest in her. We don't have her, so we have interest in her. We have a nice car, we have a nice house, then we see another car and another house, and we want that. So we don't value and we're grateful for what we have. We always want what somebody else has got. And this is the same thing about time itself. When we have time, we do not give it value. It's only when time is being taken away from us, or the opportunity to be able to do something that we could do before it's been taken away from us, then we realize its extent. So God forbid, if tonight or this morning is our last day on the surface of this earth, and it so happens that we were given the benefit that the angel of death actually took our permission. And if the angel of death took our permission and said, right, come on, you're going, what the one thing we would ask for is more time. We will say, give me time. Let me apologize to my mother. Let me make amends with my brother. Let me do this, let me do that. Can I go do this? Can I go do that? Can I settle all these things? And then you, by all means, I don't want to go, but I don't have much of a choice in it, then I will go with you. When the angel of death will say to us that you don't have time, you need to go. How can we put then an excuse to the angel of death to say, I did not have enough time? How are we going to put that excuse forward? So the question comes is, when we do have time, why is it that we're not utilizing time? Why do we end up in that situation where when it's gone from us that we value it? Because it's an asset which we don't think of as an asset. If one was said to, do this and you will get £50, or do this and you get £200, or do this and you get £500, then we value that £500. And we will go out of our way to get that £500 for whatever it takes. But when we have 50 minutes, then that itself we don't value. So it's only when it's gone. So for instance, when we become old and we now want to spend time with our children, we want to enjoy their company, our children are grown up now. So now that time has gone. But money as an asset will come and go. I'm sure many of us sat here, there was a time when we were fairly wealthy. There's been times when we've scraped the barrel. And there's been ups and downs. But we've got back what we lost whenever it was a bad investment. But try to get back the time with your mother if your mother's passed away. See if you can get that time. Try to get the time that you want to sit with your father one more time, to see him smile. put his hand over your head. Remember the time that you had a loved one and the good times you spent with that person, you joked with that person, you had a laugh with that person, you went on a journey with that person. Try to get that time back. It won't come back. So time is an asset which is our most valuable asset, but unfortunately we have a habit of trying to kill time. If you don't get 100 quid and think, oh, I've got to kill this 100 quid. How am I going to burn this 100 quid? I've got to go. We don't do that. But when you're waiting for something, an hour or 2 hours, you think, I've got to kill 2 hours. Let me go have a chat with this guy. Let me go here. Let me go there. Whatever. Yet it is the most valuable asset which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. So how can we take the most benefit out of this asset that Allah has given to us? Well, first we have to value it. You know, like when we sit on a Friday and we're doing our calculations, you know, how much money came in, how much money came out, and then you go downstairs and you have to shout at the missus because she spent a little bit extra than you envisaged she would spend. And that's now obviously having an effect on the bottom line. Or extra pocket money went to the children. Instead of getting £1.50, they got £1.65 each. Where's that 50p going to come from? We nitpick over these little bits. Then we've also got to see is, where's my time going? I have a week, you know, we arrived on, I arrived here on Thursday. It's now Sunday, I think. You know, the time has gone. Well, alhamdulillah, when we look back, we can at least say, those of us who've been in the masjid, that we utilize that time effectively. So we won't have remorse. We won't have regret. We will be pleased that that time was well used. But for those of us who Ramadan came and Ramadan went, and we look back and think, you know, didn't really use that time really well, did I? You know, it's gone. I always complain about being hungry. I was always trying to take my mind off food. So, you know, I watched lots of football, or I did this, or I did that. I was looking for distractions in order for me not to focus on my lack of food or something like that. Then we'll have some regret. And then we always say, next year, there's always next year. There's always next year. So what we need to do is evaluate and measure where this time is going. Where is this time going? And then we need to see, is this the way I want to use my time? Is this the way I want to use it? So if we're spending 3 minutes with the wife in the whole week, and that is when you're having an argument because the Salomon's a bit cold, then you've got to think that, was that good use of my time with my wife? If the only time you're spending with your children is shouting at them for leaving the door open or making too much noise or whatever, then you've got to think, was that really good use of my time with that person? Because when I walk out the door, I can't guarantee that I'm going to come back home. That might have been the last time that I met my son. That might have been the last engagement that I had with my daughter. That might have been the last conversation that I had with my wife. That might have been the last time that I sat in front of my mother. Because you get the phone call. Mom's in hospital. Quick, get there. You get there, she's already passed. Dad's X, dad's Y. So the people around us, we've got to make sure that we spend quality time with them. We benefit from them and they benefit from us. But also, in terms of time, is ensuring that our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. And we spent the 3-4 days looking at various aspects through this general theme about our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our relationship with our deen. And we should have evaluated that, how can I use this time, how have I used this time? So we then need a plan. We need a plan because, you know, Ramadan is going now. So we need to, before Ramadan finishes and departs and waves goodbye, that how am I going to use my time from after Eid day? How am I going to use my time after Eid day? What am I going to do? Because I know on Eid day there's going to be time I'm going to spend with my family. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. I don't know what people do in London, but people in Bradford go to a few streets and drive fast cars. Is that in London as well? All right, okay. There was a letter that came from Bradford Council, and they'd closed like about 8 streets in Bradford because that's where the young lads go and hire fancy cars and go. But now I think they do similarly in Manchester and up north. Folk do this, and obviously London is more civilized people.
It happens here.
Sorry?
It happens here.
It happens here as well. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Yeah. I was thinking that, you know, I was sat amongst such highly cultured people. I'm glad that you brought it back down to that. So after Eid is gone, how are we going to use that time? Each person has a right over you, around you. Parents, siblings, children, they have a right over you. You've got to work. That's a responsibility that we have as men. So that's something we need to do. But at the same time, it's our acts of worship that we need to continue. But also, they say, don't be somebody with 1 year's experience, which is repeated 20 times. Be a person of 20 years experience. Sometimes when people say that, oh, I've been in the medical profession for 20 years, I've got 20 years experience. Or I've been in the teaching profession and I've got 20 years experience. Well, you need to understand and say, well, what do you mean by that 20 years experience? Because sometimes what it is, you have 1 year's experience and you repeat it 20 times. Real 20 years experience means that each year has built onto the next year, which is built onto the next year, which is built onto the next year. So by the time you got to year 20, you compare yourself to year 1, you're in a different realm. Whereas 20 years of the same year, you are still where you were 20 years ago, but you've done it for 20 years. Alhamdulillah. So now that Ramadan is completing, are we in a different place compared to last Ramadan? If we're in the same place as we were in the last Ramadan, and the Ramadan before that, and the Ramadan before that, and the Ramadan before that, then we are unfortunately in that same track. That all we're doing is just repeating that 1 year several times. And we're not gaining from that experience. That first year's experience, we moved a notch or two, our mindset changed a little bit, our outlook towards the world changed a little bit, our relationship changed a little bit, we're moving forward, it was quite positive, and suddenly it just all went back again, and then that Ramadan had to start from scratch again. So we need some kind of timetable. Now you'll be very surprised, but those elite scholars amongst us, they timetable every 5-10 minutes of their day. 5-10 minutes of their day. They don't have a gap where they're not doing anything. You will rarely get in touch with them and say, Hazrat, are you free? He'll say, well, this is actually my mutala time. This is actually the time I deal with queries. This is the actually time I spend with my wife. This is the actually time I sit with my son. They will have everything boxed off from Monday all the way to Sunday. So that means you're maximizing your asset. You're maximizing your time. You are ensuring that there's no gap there, which is left open. And remember, when a person is free, the first creature that will assault him is shaitan. Because he sees the gap. So when he sees the gap, he's in there. Now this person's kind of like doing nothing. So he starts to whisper to him, you're getting bored. You've got to do something with your time. What are you doing sat here? And he starts to whisper things about what other people are up to. And then he makes him think that what they're doing is better than what he's doing. So then he wants to go out there because he thinks, well, I'm just at home, I'm not doing anything. And then he eventually gets up in the wrong kind of, gets involved in the wrong kind of crowd or the wrong kind of things. So if we timetable our time, if we allocate and utilize our assets effectively, then not only will the people around us be happy with us, but also our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be strong, and also our experience will be such that we will build on our understanding from the year before to the year after and to the year after. So this asset is one of the most valuable assets. Do not be in a situation where unfortunately a person then has regret for the fact that he did not use his time effectively, or he did not use his time in the way that he should have done. The other matter with time is we do not know when it ends. Whereas a football game, we know it's 90 minutes, or something else is X amount of time. We know the time allocation. So we can start worrying a little bit when it gets to 80 minutes or 85 minutes that, hold on, something's not right, we need to do something. But in our situation, we don't know when that final whistle is going. We don't know when that's going to happen. So we've got to think as though today is the last day. That's how we've got to think. We can't think that we're going to live for tomorrow. Because if we think we're going to live for tomorrow, then we're going to push those things which we could have done today onto tomorrow. And then those things on tomorrow onto the next, and onto the next. And again, we won't achieve what we wish to achieve. So, before we finish off, if you could please, whilst we've got the last couple of days left, look at your timetable. Yes, we've got to work. we've got responsibilities, we've got to pay bills. Yes, we've got maybe some other responsibilities that we have to deal with. We've got sick parents or whatever. Allocate that time effectively, then look and you will see how much time we have. Let's just say a person does average 9 to 5. He's got an average 9 to 5 job. So he comes home at 5, half 5. He doesn't go to sleep, hardly anybody goes to sleep, before 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So he's going to sleep at 11, half 11. That's 6 hours. What a person can do in 6 hours, multiply that by 5, that's 30 hours. I've known people who can write an essay or an assignment or a research paper within those 30 hours. Or do something constructive in his community. Get people together to, give food so he can give food to the poor. He's actually making a change in his community. And that can happen. Because if we look at this asset that Allah has given us and we use that effectively. So may we all truly value time for what it is and utilize it in order to achieve the best we can for whatever time Allah has given us, whatever number of grains of sand we have, to use it to the maximum effect. We know, for example, some scholars who only lived till their 40s and 50s, but they wrote so many books. Many of our elders in the past wrote so many, for example, he wrote so many books. It's impossible how he wrote so many books in that short space of life. When you sit and think, you think literally he was writing a book a week. And then all the other responsibilities he did. So this is what happens then. I was going to finish up, but this little thing came in. Is that they have more barakah in their time then. Once you start using your time effectively, Allah then stretches your time. Because you've got no more time now in the day, so He stretches it. So then when someone says, oh, what do you do, brother, by the way? Oh, I do this, I do this, I do that, I do this. And the brother goes, how do you manage to do all that? I just about keep a 9 to 5 job. So he says, I don't know. He goes, do you have extra time? No, I have 24 hours in a day, like you have 24 hours in a day. But he's managing it, so Allah then puts barakah in it. Like a person who manages their earnings, Allah then puts barakah in it. You don't have to earn lots. If it's halal and it's done correctly with sincerity, there is barakah in it. And we obviously believe in the unseen. We mention that as a theme throughout. And barakah is something from the unseen. It is not something you can calculate. It is something which comes without you realizing it. It's the value that is attached to it. So may we all have that true appreciation of our time and utilize it effectively. Ameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.